Your host, Parker, Dan, and Angela slice and dice their way through the good.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
The bad.
You brought the devil!
There's a devil inside everyone.
And the ugly movies you love.
And you can't piss on hospitality. I won't allow it!
Hold your favorite films and franchises tight, because they aren't safe. In fact, it's already too late. It's time to dissect that film.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Dissect That Film, where we dissect the good, the bad, and the ugly of cinema. I am your host, Brett Parker. Joining me, as always, my wonderful co-host, Dan and Angela of DNA Gaming.
Hey.
We haven't done this more than once.
No.
Today is week 2 of our month of films of 1985, as that is the year of birth of our wonderful co-host, Angela. Last week, we talked about Silver Bullet, which was Dan's pick. And this week, it is my pick. And I decided, what crazy-ass film could I find from 1985 that would be great to talk about? And that is a movie that I have not seen since I was probably 8 or 9 years old. And that is Return to Oz. And joining us to talk about it is friend of the show, Alli from the Quad Pro Quo Podcast.
Yay.
Welcome back.
Oh, hello. Excited to be here.
Now, Alli, you were like a last-second guest because we originally didn't have a guest, but I posted on social media that we were covering this movie, and you got really excited about it. Or maybe it was the opposite. I think you might have posted something about it, and maybe I answered. I think that's what it was. Yeah.
So I posted something on Twitter, like, name a weird movie that you've seen way too many times, and I posted Return to Oz. And then you commented on it, and I was like, wait, are you doing this movie? And then I think it was serendipitous.
Oh,
I think it was meant to happen.
Written in the stars, as they would say.
Written in the stars. Yes.
Now, this is a special one for you because this was the first episode of your podcast. So, like, this was the movie you guys covered as your premiere. And
yes.
So
it was my pick.
Yeah, you could say that. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Everyone hated it but me.
Seriously, though, even though she just stated that, please go back and listen to the episode. It is hilarious.
Yeah.
For one, the titles of your episodes are great.
Thank you.
So very good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a great episode. Very, very first one.
Mm-hmm.
And so perfect that you're here. It's great to have you back.
So excited.
Yeah. And and guys, she's going to be back again this season. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, Return to Oz. Why did I pick this movie? Well, because I've heard a lot of things about this movie over the years. Well, a lot of people who don't like this movie, a lot of people who just straight up are like, this is literally nightmares. It's one of those crazy things that I was looking through a list of films from 1985 and Return to Oz pops up, and I was like, yes, I have to revisit this film as an adult because, as I said, I had not seen it since I was a kid. And boy, oh boy, there's a lot to talk about with this one. Dan, I know you're chomping at the bit to talk about this. What do you have any history with Return to Oz?
Fuck no. Like, I seriously, when I was like Return to Oz, and I was like, is this the Wiz? And like, that's the only thing.
I think that's literally what you said when we were planning the first few months of the season, and I picked Return to Oz. You're like,
it was.
Is that the one with Michael Jackson? I was like, no, that's the Wiz.
Dude, let me tell you something. There's no shade at the Wiz. I would 100% watch that fucking movie. I know. I knew there was like a couple like Wizard of Oz-esque things in this era, and I know I've seen snippets or clips of or heard of this movie, but I've never seen it. I didn't know anybody that watched it. I only learned about it on the internet, like when when I got much older, like teenage years and such. But I know nothing about it other than the original Wizard of Oz. That's it.
What about you, Angela?
I'd never heard of it. I'd never even heard of it.
Interesting. Yeah, this is Yeah, I guess that's kind of the consensus. Either you've heard of this movie, or it's like one of those, I've seen it once and never want to see it again, or it's, what? It was a sequel to The Wizard of Oz?
Yeah.
Yes, there was many. So, Alli, why don't you refresh people's memories of your history with Return to Oz?
So, I don't know how we were introduced to it, but I've watched this movie since I was born in 84. So, I mean, we probably started watching, we had a physical copy of the tape taped off television. So we didn't have like the actual like Disney and like those, remember those like big plastic bubble like cases that Disney had?
Baby.
Yes. So we didn't have that. We had a VHS taped off television of Return to Oz. So we must have taped it off television when it was on the Disney Channel at some point. But I just remember watching it, me and my two brothers. We loved it. We were never scared of it. We thought it was like the coolest movie ever. And we watched it all the time. I just remember watching it all the time, and we still really like it. My brother does the best Dorothy, when Mombi yells Dorothy Gale, he does the best impression of that. Like, we still say it to each other sometimes. So we've just always watched it. It just never, I know it's one of those movies that people watch and they're like, how did you watch this as a child? Kind of like Labyrinth or The Dark Crystal. It just never really scared us. We just thought it was always so cool. So yeah.
Now, before we continue, because I'm always horrible at this, can you let people know what the Quad Pro Quo podcast is and what you guys do over there?
Oh my gosh. So we're inspired by the Quid Pro Quo scene in Silence of the Lambs. So there's four of us, me, my partner Matt, and then our good friends and neighbors who live right next door, Tammy and Guido. And each month we pick a theme. And each week, one of us picks a movie that falls within that theme. And then at the end of the month, we rank the movies from favorite to least favorite and pick a winner. So we're wrapping up Cage Match this month, our second annual Cage Match. And then next month in February, our theme is Swiftie X's month. So we are each picking a movie starring a Taylor Swift ex-boyfriend.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was waiting for like a month of Swift movies. I'm like, how many movies has Taylor Swift been in?
Nope. I love it. Taylor Swift's ex-boyfriends. So we figure it's perfect for Valentine's Day month.
On the list, everybody.
Ex-boyfriends.
Eventually you could just put on a Chiefs game, right?
Well, they're technically still together. If hopefully she hasn't fucked that up.
Give it time.
Yeah. But you can find us wherever, and our episodes come out every Thursday. So
yes, and all the information for Quad Pro Quo will be down in the description. I can't say your podcast too fast because it's like a tongue twister sometimes.
No one ever can.
I fuck it up all the time. So, Return to Oz was directed by Walter Murch. He was actually fired during the production of this movie because it was taking too long and going over budget. The history of this movie is crazy. So, of course, it is based on the second and third book by L. Frank Baum. It was The Marvelous Land of Oz and Ozma of Oz. Mm-hmm. And did you know there's 40 books based on The Wizard of Oz?
By the same guy? Or
I was told this by a guy I work with today, because we were talking about how we were covering this movie tonight, and he was like, yeah, there's 40 of these books. And I went, holy shit.
It's like the Boxcar Kids or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, this is a unofficial sequel to the 1939 Wizard of Oz. Kind of, you could tell they're following along the footsteps of that film. The major differences, though, is the fact that Judy Garland was 16 when she made The Wizard of Oz, where Fairuza Balk was 10 during this movie. So there's a big difference. And my wife is a big Wizard of Oz fan. She'd never seen this movie. And she's like, she's a little young to be Dorothy. And I'm like, no, not really. That's actually how old Dorothy was in the book. Judy Garland was a little old to be playing Dorothy.
Yeah.
But, it was the 30s, and the only like major child actor at that time was Shirley Temple. So
Parker's wife needs to step up her fucking game, all right? You can tell her I said that. Just kidding.
Step up her game. What did she do?
Well, if she's only seen the original, but she like loves Wizard of Oz, like,
no, she loves the movie The Wizard of Oz. She's not like a Wizard of Oz franchise fan. I think she's seen Oz the Great and Powerful, the Sam Raimi one that came out 10 years ago. But other than that, yeah, this was another one where I was like, guess what we're watching tonight? And she's like, what the hell is this? And right off the bat, this movie just hits to the point where it's just a lot of what the fuck moments here, there, and everywhere. So, yeah, the history of this movie is that Disney bought the rights to L. Frank Baum's works because they were going to be using it for a television series called Disneyland, and they were going to try to do a live action sequel to The Wizard of Oz in the 50s. It didn't work out. They were going to do one in 1980. It didn't work out then. And then they finally got into production in 1985. But like I said, director gets fired because of going over production or going over budget. It was a crazy production. But it did end up getting nominated for a Oscar for Best Visual Effects, which, you know, I'm not even shocked about based on what I saw in this movie. So,
I need to look up what beat this fucking movie out then.
I feel like I looked it up when
Back
we
to the
did
Future,
ours,
maybe?
and I
Fuck
cannot.
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future came out in
remember.
85, and they used visual effects, right? Or they used effects? I don't know.
I can't remember because that would have been the 86 Oscars. So.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So the budget for this movie was $28 million, and it only made 11. It only made 11.1, so it was a big old flop.
Cocoon.
Cocoon. All right.
Sure, why not? Fuck it. Bunch of
Sure.
old people and shit having sex. Why not?
Amazing.
Yeah, this was a movie that was kind of split down the middle with critics. It was praised for like the effects and the performances and all that, but it was the negative responses to this movie, of course, is I think a lot of people's negative responses was like, how was this movie made for children? This movie is terrifying. It is very dark for a movie that is aimed for children. It's got the Walt Disney name slapped on it, and holy shit. And then I'm thinking about it, I'm like, has no one ever seen a Disney movie before?
Or have you not seen the original Return?
Yeah.
Like Wizard of Oz. That's,
yeah.
I mean, there's flying monkeys, there's witches, people's houses kill people. Like,
lady fucking melts.
A lady melts, people get high off of opium in a poppy field. Like,
yes.
I mean, it's kind of scary. Yeah. It's just not as scary. Like,
there's little orange people. It's fucking terrifying.
Yes. No, that's the wrong movie, Dan.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. Carry on.
So this is the film debut of Fairuza Balk, who plays Dorothy Gale. She did she did some TV beforehand, but this was her first film. Of course, she is most famous for The Craft and The Water Boy. I always love the gif that you see of her is like, do you want me to kill someone? The one where she's holding up the side. That's all. I remember her the most. And The Craft. She's psychotic in that movie, and it's great.
So good though.
So good.
We have Nicole, I think that's how you pronounce his name, Williamson, who we've talked about on the show before when we talked about Spawn, because he played Castigliagia or whatever the fuck his name was. Cagliostro or something.
Yes,
it's pretty close.
I said it. Cagliostro.
Yes, he played Dr. Whirly and the Nome King. One thing I do. I love a lot of things about this movie, but one of the cool things that they did with this movie that they did with the original is that they have characters in the real world also having counterparts in Oz as the original did. So of course, like the original, you had the cranky neighbor who ends up turning into the Wicked Witch to the west. You had just different characters would show up in the real world and in Oz, which I thought was a really cool touch that they kept it in this one to kind of give that connection to it. So the fact that this was owned by Disney now, the ruby slippers were not part of the books. They were actually created for the original 39 film, but because they were owned by MGM, Disney had to pay a pretty hefty fee to obtain the rights and to be able to use the ruby slippers in this movie. And to be honest, it's one of those things where like the ruby slippers were fine being in this movie, but I don't think they were really necessary. I think they could have written them out and it would have been fine. The ruby slippers are kind of it's kind of a magic lamp, which I don't remember weren't the ruby slippers in the original only just to get her home?
They're silver in the book. They made them ruby in the movie because of the change in the color and that being like a big thing in 1939. Yeah. And yeah, it really is the reason that she can go home is to click her heels and to send her back to Kansas. But I feel like, you know, anyone could have sent her home. I mean, they're all magical creatures. I don't know why the shoes are necessary, but yeah.
they figure a way around it later, but
yeah.
Yeah.
We have Jean Marsh as Nurse Wilson and Mombi. We also have Sophie Ward and Fiona Victor, who play Mombi 2 and Mombi 3, which is pretty much when she changes her heads out. We have Piper Laurie as Aunt M. This is the second time we're talking about Piper Laurie on the show because we talked about her in The Faculty.
Yep.
She's also she's also Carrie's mother in Stephen King's Carrie. Great, one of my favorite performances of all time.
You missed Dan's comment.
I
found it more funny than it should have been.
I was kind of mumbled under my voice so people wouldn't hear it halfway. Carry on, go ahead.
We have Matt Clark as Uncle Henry. We have Emma Ridley as I just called her the girl in that window because she was always peeking through a window.
Hello.
And she was also Princess Ozma. We have Justin Case as the Scarecrow. We had Pons Mar as the lead wheeler. What a name. We have Bruce Boa as Policeman. Policeman? Where was the policeman in this movie? That's a weird.
It was at the end.
There.
Yeah, probably at the end.
It was at the end after the incident.
Thanks, Wikipedia credits.
And those
like,
police officers.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
And what like the Cowardly Lions credited? What did he even like say like 2 fucking words in this whole movie?
A word.
No, but his eyeballs are stuck.
So I mean, there's a lot of really cool performances in this movie. So we got to shout out Toto's performer Tansy, the little doggy. The voice cast for this, we had Denise Breyer as Belina, the chicken. We have Sean Barrett as TikTok. We have Brian Henson as Jack Pumpkinhead, the son of legendary Jim Henson. Yay. We have Lyle Conway as the Gump. Pons Mar is also the voice of the Gnome Messenger. So he was the lead wheeler and the Gnome Messenger. That's pretty cool.
Oh, the rock face.
The rock face, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they're called gnomes. But they just like take the G out and then people won't get confused that you're still calling them gnomes. Like, they're not gnomes.
They could have different iterations. I always think of David the gnome. I'm sorry. That's just my
Me too.
I know, see?
I love David the gnome.
Such a classic.
And we have Beatrice Murch as the voice of Princess Ozma. She wasn't credited, but I guess they had to do, because of her accent, the Emma Ridley's accent, they had to do ADR for her voice, so she didn't sound too British or wherever she's from.
Does it matter? Is Oz just English American accents? Like, is that
I don't know.
No.
Her voice is kind of adult sounding when she talks. Like, it sounds like an older person.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Oh yeah. To be honest, and they kind of make it so low, it's really hard to understand what she's saying. You're like,
yes.
She whispering? What is going on?
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking like low, like octave, like I'm Ozma. How are you? Like, well, excuse me.
And then we have our puppeteers. The ones I really wanted to point out, of course, Brian Henson was also the head operator for Jack Pumpkinhead, and Stuart LaRange was the body performer. But the one I really noticed was a Stephen Norrington was a puppeteer for the Gump. Do you remember that name, Dan? Because we've talked about this guy twice on the show because he became a director.
Sounds familiar.
He is the director of Blade and the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I like it. I dig it. Yeah. I'm sorry. And he did
design sculpture work for Harbinger Down.
Oh, that's right.
And Alien 3.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
I don't even think we talked about him in those episodes, but that's cool. Then also another name that I recognized was Deep Roy, who was the puppeteer for the Tin Man. So he was the Oompa Loompa in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the terrifying version. He was the many, many Oompa Loompas in that. So There you go.
I'm surprised
he's in a few Tim Burton movies.
Oh yeah, it is deep. Yeah, okay, I get it. That guy.
I just can't get over Just in Case.
Well, look, we have Just in Case and Deep Roy. That had to be like never mind. I'm not doing it right now. Just go ahead.
Wait, where do you see that?
It's a Scarecrow.
Yeah, Scarecrow.
Oh,
I'm on IMDb.
I already said his name too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think it's. Are you guys ready? 2, right, Dan? You gonna join in?
Oh,
go ahead. Yes.
Ready to dissect that film? Oh my god, we're so off. We're gonna get it down. Don't worry, we got a whole season to do this. It's a new thing, Alli. Right. We're trying new things here. We're only 2 episodes into the season.
My favorite part. This is what we do.
We're only like 140 episodes into this show. But we still don't know how to do it.
We're starting over.
I love excluding our guests.
Starting over. Get out of here, other episodes. These will be just as bad. So the movie opens to Dorothy going through some PTSD, I guess, from her prior adventure into Oz, or she's just sad that no one believes her that Oz is a thing. You have Auntie M, who is constantly just being like, no, shut up. It doesn't exist. Go away. Go do something.
Go back to bed, you damn kid. Times are tough.
DM.
So I love the whole thing where you meet the chicken, Belina. And I love it's like, you got to lay an egg or Auntie M's going to cook you. And I feel some people are probably like, well, that's harsh. I'd be like, no, that's farm life. If a chicken doesn't lay eggs, it becomes food.
I'd eat it. Sorry.
They can't produce food. They're going to be food.
Yeah. So she finds a key that has the outline of the word Oz. And so she gets really excited and she wants to show Auntie M. And so she brings it over. And of course, Auntie M's just literally like, pushes her away. She's like, go find something useful to do, girl. I can't wait to shock the shit out of you later.
Well, she's also pissed that Uncle Henry is a lazy POS.
Oh, yeah.
Milking his broken leg.
Yeah, she is stressed to the bone right now. She is doing all the work. Like, I understand, like, being stressed out in that case. And it's like, but it's like, this girl's like 10 years old. And she went through a traumatic experience alongside you, going through a tornado literally destroyed your home. But yeah, they're rebuilding their house because the tornado from the original movie happened 6 months before this film takes place. So Auntie M brings her to a doctor, and and I love the whole story behind the Tin Man that Dorothy tells him about how the Tin Man's axe got
enchanted.
Enchanted his axe to the point where he chopped off his own limbs. I'm like, damn. I don't remember that from the original.
It's not. It's in the book. It is in
the right. I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
But when I heard that, I was like, holy shit, that was intense. But then it just gets darker. He shows her the machine that has the face to kind of put her at ease, I guess, even though she has no idea what's going on. Auntie M leaves her there. She, this is where you see the girl in the window for the first time. Who's that girl in the window?
She's like, you gotta get out. It's a fucking trap. Like, hi, girl in the window.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but then she comes into her room with the jack-o'-lantern head, right? It gives it to her.
Yeah, I always thought that like the machine was supposed to kind of be like TikTok. The pumpkin is obviously like the Jack Pumpkinhead, and then like, you know, the orderlies or the wheelers, like you said, how everyone kind of corresponds to something in the real world and Oz. I don't know if there's really a Gump, but
probably
everything always kind of matches up, and obviously the other little girl is Ozma. So
yeah, you find out that she's going to be getting some shock therapy. She gets like tied to the table, to the gurney, brought down to the room where the machine is, and right as she's about to get shocked, the power goes out. So everybody's scrambling to figure out what's going on, and then the mystery girl, I mean, we know who she is, but at this moment, you don't. So she is just the girl in the window, rescues her, and they run out into the storm, and then fall into the river.
Run, Dorothy! Just like tosses the chair in the window.
Yeah.
That's like the door's right there. Just Did we need to do that? No.
Do you think this should be kept locked? Never! Just walked.
One of the creepiest parts about this scene, though, is like when the power goes out and she's still strapped to the bed, you can hear all the screaming from all the other patients. I'm like, what is this? This is for children? Like,
yeah,
we're starting off strong here.
Dude, like, I'm going to just random thing. I'm watching this movie, and I know it's not like 1-to-1 here, but I'm watching Dr. Worley, I think is his name. And like, I'm looking at him and his like magnificent beard. I'm just like, Parker?
I just got to put on those round spectacles. And
yeah, like, you know, like just when he's sitting here talking, I'm just like,
should I be him
like,
for Halloween so no one knows who I am? I just look like a doctor. Like, I'm
like,
Dr. Worley from Return to Oz. You don't know who I am? And like,
I'm a late 19th century doctor.
Where does he live? I don't want to go over there.
Allow me to electroshock your child.
Oh my god. Yeah. The funniest thing though that I noticed so in most movies when they do electric shock therapy, they put the thing on the temples. Why do they put it on like their headphones? Like, is the current just gonna go through her ears?
I guess.
Oh my god. It seems dark.
I mean, electricity was like just new too. So
right. Yeah, like, I was just kind of the doctor's just over there like, I think it might be set.
Yeah.
Let's pray. Come on, everybody.
Does that red light mean anything? Ah, fuck it.
I just like it was like is it Mrs. Wilson, the woman, the one
the
one
nurse
who turns into
Nurse
Mombi?
Wilson.
Yeah. She's just like, are you ready? And she's like, yeah, what am I gonna do? I just want this girl to get shocked. She's like ready for it.
Wearing that like Victorian.
I love her dress.
Oh my gosh.
From what I've read, it's the same outfit that the Wicked Witch of the West wears.
See, I called her
dress.
That's what I called. I'm like, she's the Wicked Witch of the West.
What was the
Yeah. She also played Queen Bathmora in Willow.
Oh
yeah,
shit.
I don't even remember the last time I saw that movie.
Yeah, she's Queen Bathmora. So she always plays really scary bitches. Like
she's got the look. I mean, it's not to like offend, but some people just have the look to play evil characters where like if you see them playing someone good, you're like, it just doesn't feel right. You have to be evil. Sorry to be you got to be typecasted, but you just got to take it and run, you know?
It's like, what's the like requirement going in? It's like, needs to look like you have the largest stick up your ass. Cause like, that's what she looks like this whole fucking movie. But I mean, it works. Like, I'm not shitting on her, you know, but.
So they run out of the institute there, and they fall into the river. And you think that the girl in the window just fucking drowns. It's like, oh no! And Dorothy floats away in a crib.
It's like a crate. Yeah,
like
a crate.
It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And Nurse Wilson falls in too. And is she upset to the fact that she's got to explain to these kids' parents that their kids died, or
probably
that she just really wants to shock them? I don't know.
Maybe both. Like, this is such an inconvenience.
So Dorothy wakes up and things are looking a little different here. And she wakes up and Belina's there somehow, and she can talk. And Dorothy is not fazed at all by this because she's like, well, I've been here once and I've seen talking lions. So, okay, cool. Now I can talk to Belina. I love all the portrait backgrounds, though. All the landscape.
Yes.
Like, beautiful painting work. It's just so good. So, but she's questioning, is she back in Oz? And then she realizes she is in the, what is it? The deadly sand.
Desert.
The deadly desert.
The deadly desert.
She knows exactly what to do. Do not touch the sand or you will turn into sand. So she has to hop the rocks and I would have been scared out of my mind. It's just like, remember when you're a kid and you're hopping rocks over like the stream and you accidentally slip and fall into the stream like a jackass? Yeah, that'd be me.
Done
fall
that.
into the sand, turn into the sand. And
this
is when
I
we
dropped something.
one finger touches. It's like, oh no. This is when we see the faces though on the rocks, and I was like, I love that effect. It's so good. What year did this come out? 1985. This is insanely good for 1985.
Yes.
The effects works are amazing.
I love the expressions of the rock, specifically when the messenger gnome goes and talks to the Nome King. I love his expressions.
It's my favorite. It's like
Very
my
artistic.
favorite
He goes
sequence.
from angry to happy to like upset almost.
Yes.
Yeah,
You
just
can
like
just
the
physically
movements.
see the
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good.
He gets like scared and it like shakes kind of.
yes.
Yeah.
It's great.
So she goes and finds a tree that has lunch pails hanging from it because Oz is weird. It has
Might be my favorite part of the entire movie is the lunch pail tray.
If this movie was made nowadays, it would just be a tree of Lunchables. Like, oh,
Yes.
Lunchables. Oh, the
I also
nautical
just-
ones,
okay.
the
Where's that
cute
tree?
ones. I know, right?
I just love how Belina's like, make sure you pick a ripe one. How the fuck do you know which one is ripe and which one is not?
Is it more
And
red?
also,
Oh,
what's in a non-ripe one?
it's just like rotten
Like a
food.
half-made sandwich? Like,
It's
I don't
just
understand.
bread.
It's a,
I'm just concerned
It's
with
like a
what's
ham.
in all of them.
It's just a ham seed.
She
Yeah.
pulls out
You
a
get
ham.
ham.
She pulls out a ham sandwich, and I also love how like it comes with a napkin.
Yeah.
You know, it's a very
Yes.
well prepared lunch pail.
Yeah.
But I just want to know, like, what's in a non-ripe lunch pail from the lunch pail tray? Like just
I don't
a
know.
piece of bread. No,
Another
no
thing
insides.
we'll-
Like,
another
just
thing we'll
insides.
never know.
Or it's just
So many
smaller
questions.
versions. It's smaller versions.
Smaller
it won't
versions. Okay.
It won't taste right because it's not ripe. It'll be like bitter or something.
But
Okay.
she opens it up and it's like the size of her palm. I'm like, what kind of sandwich is that?
Like, is there anything in
Yeah.
this or Cheez-Its or some shit? Like, what
And
the
it's
hell?
wrapped in like wax paper. It's very
Yeah.
well made. Like,
Yeah.
I just love it so much.
That tree is working really hard to produce these things.
Very hard. Because in the
Wow.
in the original Wizard of Oz, you just get those nasty trees that come to life and chuck apples at you.
Yeah.
And in this one, you get a tree that
Jerks.
gives you lunch. Like, it's great. It's a great
Well, I mean, it's
tree.
still the other trees are still giving you lunch. It's just
You just have to
slightly
dodge
more
it.
aggressive form.
Yeah,
of
but they were
giving
trying
you
to
lunch.
kill you with it.
You
probably.
got to catch him like a shortstop.
Yeah.
So the gnome messenger sees that there's a chicken, so he has to warn the boss. Dorothy Gale's here, and she has a chicken. And he's like, chicken!
What the fuck?
Oh, chicken.
Secretly in cahoots with Chick-fil-A or something. Like,
So Dorothy finds her old house that blew to Oz in the original. And of course, she's like pointing out things. She's like, oh, well, this is where the witch was dead. And I'm like, where's the oh, yeah, the witch just disappears, right? In the original when she
her
dies.
legs fold
Right.
up under the building, don't they?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I was hoping I'd see like a skeleton, like some skeletons, like some fucking bones.
It's like but there's just socks with bones coming out of it because the slippers
Yes.
are gone.
Her
would've been
feet
so
just roll
great.
up like the little
The party
Oh,
favor.
like
yeah,
the
the party favors.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just roll up.
or
like
fruit by
that.
the foot. You just
Yeah.
reverse.
Yeah.
That would have been great. I mean, this movie's already
Dorothy's like
dark.
a little tour guide. She's like a little tour guide to
Hi,
Belina.
Barbie.
Yeah.
Yep. So they also see the Yellow Brick Road. It's all torn up. There's no Munchkins because there's no Dunkin' Donuts there. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Bad joke.
Oh.
No, there's just
I thought
nobody-
That's
there's-
why. That's why there is no Munchkins, because that's where they get the Munchkins from. Dunkin' Donuts harvested them to extinction.
Oh, no.
No.
Oh, no. Damn. So yeah, this is when you hear Mombi for the first time because the gnome messenger talks to the Nome King and he's like, don't worry, she's not going to get past Mombi. It's going to be fine.
Mommy number.
Oh, God.
You're
You're
I was
still
also
on the
like-
Mombi number
No,
5.
Mommy
Mombi
number
number
Oh,
five.
mommy number 5.
I said that's what I said to her earlier. It was stupid. I'm sorry.
I also love how quickly she runs to the Emerald City. I'm like, in the first movie, it took her days to get to the fucking Emerald City. And in this movie, she runs there in like 10 minutes. It's really quick.
And she's running over ground that's not level, and she's having no problem. I would have face planted.
This,
Oh,
yeah,
I would have tripped over all those upturned bricks.
Oh, yeah.
Like, absolutely. Belina's just trailing behind her.
Yeah.
And she runs to the Emerald City in like 10 seconds.
the Yellow Brick Road looks like they have a graboid problem in Oz because it's like all torn up. It's like mounds. I'm waiting for Burt Gummer to come around a corner like, how are you, Dorothy? I got him. Fucking Reba's there too.
Bart, they're under the ground.
They're under the ground.
Oh
Dude,
God,
listen,
I really want to talk about Tremors though.
Listen, I know this takes place before World War II, but there's no way this didn't inspire the Blitz because this dude took this place out in 6 months. Like he just devastated this place.
Yeah, I mean, there's buildings that are like half destroyed, and it's like it's not the fact that everybody's gone. He destroyed this place.
Yeah.
He took all the emeralds.
Yep.
Yeah, and it looks like he showered them in rocks. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a lot of damage. So, yeah, the Emerald City is in shambles. Medusa, I think, lives here too, because everybody's turned to stone.
Mm-hmm.
You have statues with heads missing, and you're like, that's going to probably lead to something, right? Oh, yeah. And, dude, Belina is full of just one-liners all day.
Mm-hmm.
Belina, the Gump, there's just one-liners. One of them was like, all this way to see a bunch of stiffs.
Yes.
It's great line. And this is where you see the sign, or it looks like it's spray painted, that just says "Beware the Wheelers," and you're like, "Oh boy, I remember these fuckers."
What's a wheeler?
Yep.
When this Wheeler thing came up, it may have been just me. I was thinking of Joey Wheeler from Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Wheeler from Captain Planet, and I'm like, what in the fuck is going on in this world?
I just want to know how they got around. I would have lost. They're all on all four wheels. I would have they would have all gone in
it's one of those
separate directions.
So I want to know, for one, they planned on killing Dorothy. How is that going to happen? Are they just stomping her with their wheels? And two, if Mombi, let's say Mombi wants them captured, how do they carry them? Do they just toss them on their backs and wheel them around like a horse? Like, I don't know. I want to know like the actual function of the wheeler and how they do things, because
when we did the movie, Matt's biggest question was, how do they wipe? Like after they go to the bathroom.
Yes. Just rub their ass in the grass, dude.
They just don't go to the bathroom. They probably don't go to the bathroom like normal people.
It's like South Park, that episode where they poop out their mouths. That's how it's going to be.
Oh, I think he said that in our episode that we did.
There you go. Yeah, that's how it works.
Or they're like horses where they don't have to wipe. They just shit and keep going.
Yeah, they lift
Who knows?
up the back
I mean, there's no way they're getting those elaborate outfits off to go to the bathroom anyway. Those like
under the flap, it's just their ass cheeks. There's no. It's not pants. It's just legs, a flap, and then they just pick that thing up.
All right there. They flashing cheeks.
Which Oz must like smell real bad.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Oh, probably.
Horrible smells.
What was that laugh? I asked myself. I'm trying to recreate that as much as possible. I don't think I've ever laughed like that in my life. That was new. What is that? This is my new laugh for 2024. New Year, new laugh.
We have a spanking new podcast for your ear holes called Doom Generation.
Available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Later, Doomers.
So this is when you see the Tin Man, the Lion, they're all turned to stone. The Wheelers show up, and this is like, when you first see the Wheelers, they're terrifying. They got the creepy laugh. Down. Yeah, they got the masks that are really creepy. And then for the rest of the movie, the Wheelers are just funny. They're just goofy. Like, they're only scary in that scene, and then, that's it. You're kind of over it. You're like, oh, okay, it's not that bad.
They just sound like meth heads, basically, kind of.
Like,
yeah, like they're like the meth heads of Oz, basically.
That's literally their laugh.
Yeah.
The Nome King.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's what they sold all the emeralds to the Nome King in payment for meth. And they're just running around Oz, just like all cracked out, basically. Like,
I figured he's either paying him in meth or just like they're just inhaling spray cans. Like,
yeah, they spray paint their hair, which is crazy colors. It looks spray painted, and then they're huffing and just wheeling all around Oz.
They're like the guys from Mad Max Fury Road, where they have that spray, that gray or silver spray. They're like,
the Nome King
wild it out, baby.
They made a special meth tree that they play, but don't pick it till it's ripe.
No, they remind me of roller derby, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like the costumes that they, not the real roller derby, but all the movies you've seen where they wear the elaborate
slime ball bolorama.
Where they wear the elaborate costumes. I'm like, oh, it's roller derby all over.
No, but after a while, when you're hearing their laughs, it's like it just sounds like a room full of Krusty the Clowns. Like, you're like, Jesus Christ!
It's like that episode where Homer goes to clown college.
And I think they're all like I think they're all like contortionists or like circus performers, kind of like they're all those are their like were real jobs in real life. Like they weren't actors. They were like, I don't want to say circus performers, but I'm going to say it, or like carnival people.
I mean, they're very talented.
Yes.
So Pons Mar, who is the lead wheeler and also the voice of the Gnome Messenger, he was the voice and body model for the Noid in the Domino's pizza commercials of the 1980s.
And the Noid, he ruins pizzas.
He was also a performer for the television series Dinosaurs, and he was in Theodore Rex in 1995.
It's just getting worse.
He was also in Masters of the Universe in 1987. He was in The Blob from 1988 as the theater manager. Figured I'd mention that one. He was a lead puppeteer on Monkey Bone from 2001. And then he came back and did they did a documentary on the making of this movie where they kind of got a bunch of the cast members back together to kind of reminisce about the whole thing called Remembering Return of Oz, which I didn't get to catch before this episode, but I do kind of want to check that out. But yeah, I figured that was pretty cool that he was the original Noid for Domino's. Because remember when they brought the Noid back last year for about 2 seconds and then he kind of just disappeared again because they just want to talk about how all their cars are like, oh, we're going to have self-driving cars for Domino's Pizza. I was like, I don't give a shit, man.
I don't want
Bring
a car
back
in
the
my
Noid.
House. If somebody drives in my house or me, I want it to be just a drunk idiot so I can blame them, not the fucking car.
The car got lost. Sorry, the Google Maps was not working right. It just went around in circles.
There are so many signs in our town that says GPS wrong.
I just want my cheap, shitty pizza, please.
So I could see that happening. It would end up in a pond somewhere.
Oh. So Dorothy has to escape the Wheelers, and she finds a door that the key that she found earlier fits the keyhole. So she is able to escape. She hears about the Nome King because the Wheelers are like, if we're going to get you, we're going to tear you to pieces. And I was like, what the? How? For one, how? I want to see how the process of you tearing her apart with your wheelie hands.
Well, maybe they slot out, like you said. If he's the Noid, maybe he has pizza cutters.
Yeah.
Like he can like
different
swap
attachments.
in. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't just
he's like Captain Hook in Hook.
Yeah,
you know how he had all the different hooks. Yeah, it's okay. I see.
I just assume their wheels are like what's his face's hat. He throws
Odd Job?
Yeah, and he has
maybe.
the he can just
yeah.
It's just there.
So you hear about the Nome King. You're like, who's the Nome King? Don't worry. He's just the king of the castle here.
It's okay. He spells his name wrong. He can't be that intimidating.
Also, no chickens allowed.
What an asshole.
Poor Belina.
Fucking chickens are awesome.
So in this room, they find a mechanical man. He is he's like part of the army of Oz. Mm-hmm. And he is one of the most idiotically designed thing I've ever seen, where it's like, hey, when we're designing a robot that's going to defend our city, let's have 3 different things that you have to wind up for different parts of him. So he has his smarts lever, he has his action lever, and then he has, I don't remember the third one, but
voice.
Why isn't it just one thing?
My action down.
It's actually smart design if you think about it, because it's to prevent the advent of artificial intelligence, because it cannot operate without humans to operate for it. So it needs to have something to crank it up.
Why do you got to make it make sense, Dan? Damn it.
No, it literally just hit me now. No, listen, I'm just gonna spoil it for everybody. All the new characters are literally just updated versions of like the trio from the original Wizard of Oz.
But there's a difference. I like these characters more.
Yes, I do too.
I would rather hang out with TikTok, Pumpkinhead, and Belina in the Gump over the Cowardly Lion. Every time I watch the original Wizard of Oz, I just want to backhand the Cowardly Lion. Shut
I
up.
feel that way about the Tin Man. I always hated the Tin Man. I was like, stop crying. Why are you so emotional?
Yeah.
You don't have a heart. You shouldn't be emotional. You're way too crying
in high school.
My biggest issue with the new trio of characters is that it's not a 7-hump Gump, but it's fine.
Oh.
It's a mix of Dr. Seuss in here.
That's what I was quoting. I was quoting it.
I think it's Wump. I don't think it's Gump.
It's a Wump. Yeah, I think it's a Wump.
But his name is Mr. Gump. Because Mr. Gump had a
Mr.
7-hump wump.
Yes, that's what it is. He's got the 7-hump wump. That cocksucker.
Yeah, since we're talking about the Gump, he just reminds me of Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. He is straight up Eeyore with antlers.
Dude, if this was made nowadays, Seth Rogen would do his voice.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And I would hate every second of it. And I don't hate Seth Rogen. I just hate the fact that he would be the voice.
Oh, he would.
I always say if they did TikTok, it would be
just the app.
It would be Nick. It would be Nick Offerman. Because I just think of Ron Swanson when I look at TikTok. I'm like, he's a mix of like
the mustache.
Teddy Roosevelt and like Ron Swanson. He's like like you said, the most inept Army of Oz because he literally moves like this and he goes at like a half a mile an hour. He's like the slowest, heaviest. All they have to do is roll him into water and they'd be, he'd be fucked. So
yeah.
But I will say TikTok was actually my outside of the Wheelers are neat, but like was my thing. Like these guys are dedicated to this because I like the way he looks and just moves and shit is just fucking amazing.
Yeah.
They could have easily copped this out. Like, no, he needs to move like he's clockwork and awkward. And like, I knew they were onto something at this point.
I mean, the crazy thing is that there was 2 performers for TikTok and the performer for TikTok had to be upside down.
Yeah.
So the legs were operated by the arms, and you had another performer doing the head in arms. It's a weird. I could only imagine that performers like how long are these takes because they've got to be quick because they're coming out of there like, woo! Sorry, the blood all just rushed to my head because I had to be upside down.
Well, yeah, it looks like he doesn't move that. He doesn't walk that much in the movie. So hopefully,
there's a lot of quick cutaways from the show. Yeah.
Well, IMDb credits, I guess one of the guys that did TikTok, Tim Rose, Admiral Akbar.
So. Yes,
right. Yes, I did see that. Yep. So you also find out so Scarecrow was the king.
Mm-hmm.
That's right because
after
Ozma
the wizard
wasn't
left.
There. Yeah.
Why?
When the wizard left. Why?
Why was he the one to step in the power vacuum? It's like, it's my fucking turn now. I've got the brains.
I feel like it's probably because Oz didn't really feel threatened in any way. They didn't think that the things that were going to happen were going to happen. They're like, yeah, there's no. It's like the Nome King just shows up, or like
I just assumed he's like, all right, Scarecrow, you can be king for the day, and he just never left the position.
Just going around doing this all the time.
Yeah. He's mostly harmless.
Did I tell you that my sister got me a t-shirt or a shirt when I was little that had Scarecrow on it and it said, "If I only had a brain." She's like, "Here, this is for you."
But she's the one that actually needed it more.
I was like,
knowing your sister. She'll never listen to this.
No,
and if she does, I still love you.
So this is when they go outside and TikTok beats the shit out of a Wheeler, like threatens him.
Dude, this is why the Wheelers aren't scary. Because he's like, I'll teach you how to properly handle these thoughts. And then like just fucking like spins around and just takes them all out. Like, okay, these guys are clown shoes.
Yeah. And they talk about Mombi and the Wheeler gets scared. He's afraid of going there. He's like, I'm not going there. I'll tell you where it is. I ain't going there. And he's like, all right, and just lets him go. So they go to Princess Mombi's castle, or the House of Nightmares.
And mirrors.
Oh, mirrors and just it's just nightmares. This is
fingerprints everywhere.
God.
Everywhere.
And of course she's sitting there playing her mandolin, all nice and sweet. And Dorothy introduces herself and she doesn't know who she is. And so here's my thing. So you find out that she has this hall of heads and she wears whatever head she wants. So when she puts a different head on, does she have that head's personality and memories?
Mm-hmm.
So she's not actually Mombi when she has somebody else's head on.
Yeah. So I think a little bit, I can't remember when it's said, but I think Jack Pumpkinhead says it at some point. he says I was made by, she was wearing head number 7 when she threatened to kill me, and she must not have put it on recently because she can't remember I'm up here. So the memories carry into the heads retain the memories, basically.
Right. There seems to be some core memory in the body, but like you said, I think it varies. She's a Dolahan, if you're familiar with that creature, the headless, kind of like the headless horseman. Like they carry their head around, it can detach. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
and it just becomes more and more nightmare fuel as she brings her to the Hall of Heads, and she changes the head out. She puts one back, she takes her head off, puts it down, and then grabs another one. And instead of putting it immediately on, she holds it at her side. And I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then she puts it on, and then she's like, oh, well, you're attractive. That's what she says to this little girl. She's like, you're attractive, but you got some years left before I decide to take your head. So I think I'm just going to lock you in this tower until you're ready, and then I'm going to take it. So that's when she gets thrown in the room where she finds Jack Pumpkinhead, who, I don't think we mentioned the fact that Tim Burton stated that this was the inspiration for Jack Skellington.
Yes.
Tim Burton was because Tim Burton was working for Disney at the time this was being made. So
yeah.
Because I made mention a few times. I said some of these characters just remind me of Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
I mean, the first image of the pumpkin, the scarecrow pumpkin from when you watch Nightmare Before Christmas, the one where it spins around during This Is Halloween. It's literally this character.
Yeah.
Like it's identical.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought when I looked at it too.
Yeah. And like Sleepy Hollow, like the opening of Sleepy
Oh
Hollow.
yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
Like yeah, you see it like very similar. But like with the heads, like I just know like when I was a kid, it should scare you. But me being a psycho, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And I was like, wow, you get to change your look like every day. You get like a new face and a new head for 30, because she has 30 heads or 31 heads, something like that. I'm like, you get to be a different person every day. I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
I think it's one of those things where I think when I watched this as a kid, it probably didn't bother me because I was watching movies that were way above my age, you know?
Yeah.
Like I probably had, when I was seeing this, I probably had already seen like Silence of the Lambs or, you know, movies that were, you know, to find a dude's head in a jar in a parking garage. Like,
yeah. It's all good.
So it probably didn't bother me, but like watching it as an adult, I don't think it was the fact of it was like, it bothered me. It was the fact of like, this was a kid's movie. This is crazy to think about.
It's PG.
Yeah.
But so is Jaws. So
yes, it is.
Who are we to judge?
Right. So, yeah, she finds Jack Pumpkinhead. He calls her mom a bunch of times. It's kind of weird, but I guess it's for a reason because he doesn't know who he knows who his mom is. And I think the reason he does it is because they're both children, I guess. They both.
Well, yeah, he says he hasn't been alive very long, so he would have the mentality of a child in theory. So.
Yeah, and as Alli stated, he mentions the fact that, you know, she had a different, you know, Mombi had a different head on when he locked her up, or she locked him up there, so she probably doesn't remember he's there. And that's when he tells her about the powder of life?
Powder of life.
And the fact that it's in cabinet 31, which is also where her original head is. And so she's like, okay, well, I'm going to go steal that. And then we're going to make so you're going to be up here. You're going to make an escape. Like you're going to build something so we can escape, because what is about to happen should be in a horror film.
Yes.
Holy shit. This is insane. So she goes downstairs.
It is scary. It's still scary.
Terrifying. To just the imagery. It's great. I loved it. I loved every bit of this scene, but I'm just like, there are kids who probably would see this and have nightmares. No joke.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So she goes downstairs back to the Hall of Heads, and she finds door 31. Of course, all the heads are sleeping too, which is even creepier. And she opens it up, and that's when she notices the head, and it looks like Nurse Wilson. Yes. And she's like, oh. And as she goes to reach for the powder of life, she knocks something over, waking the head up, and that's when you get the Dorothy Gale. You're like, oh no. And then they all start saying her name. And then the headless corpse in the bed wakes up. I'm like, wow, this is insane. And she's like wobbling around and she escapes and goes upstairs. And this is when, and even the fact when she goes over to the cabinet where her head is and she just grabs it by the hair and yanks it out and is just carrying it. And you can hear her yelling downstairs.
She's got to go get her can of cocaine.
Yeah.
Her powder life.
Did you notice like her head for 31 is just like tossed in there?
Yeah.
It's not properly displayed like the rest of it.
It's because it's my guess it's because she doesn't want to be that person. Like she doesn't want to be vain, obviously. Yeah, of course she has the Hall of 31 heads.
I don't know why. The original head has fabulous like 70s disco hair and makeup. And like, I mean, the other ones the hair is not as good. But I feel like I remember, again, because our version was taped off television, that they removed some of like, I definitely remember her waking up in the bed and like the headless body waking up. But the part where she actually chases her and pulls the head out, they took that out of the TV version, I guess, because it was like a little too scary. Because when I rewatch it now, I'm like, her chasing Dorothy without her head on and then pulling the head out and like carrying it, that is not in like the TV version that I used to watch as a kid.
It is. Yeah, it is something else.
Yeah.
So Dorothy gets upstairs. She sees the whatever contraption they made, which is a couch, some palm tree leaves, and a moose head strapped to the front.
Yeah.
And she
got
just
a tail.
she just douses this entire thing in this like powdery substance.
Cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I love when she walks in the door and she's just like, it's not done. There's a headless woman chasing me.
Because TikTok went berserk.
Yes.
Because his brain ran down.
Yeah, he's like spazzing out. She's got to wind him back up again. I'm like, here's the thing. For a wind up anything, wind it up as much as you possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
It's like those cars, the pullback cars. You pull them back and you keep pulling them back
until you hear that
click.
Noise. Yeah, until you hear that noise that it's not supposed to make. And you're like, it's ready.
Like when you screw the cap on your gas tank.
Yes, you hear that.
Keep going until you hear the click.
Yeah. Or if you have like a spring, it's just like, you like hear that spring stretching. You're like, yep, she's tight. Nothing, Dan? Nothing?
Nope, I'm good.
I was waiting for a joke. Damn it.
Well, that's what she said.
That's the way we like it. All the way toy.
So toy. So the Gump finally wakes up and he's like, what?
Excuse me?
He's like, what am I supposed to do here? And she's like, fly. He's like, I can't fly. And then, of course, as soon as Mombi busts through the door, he's like, oh, okay, I guess I can fly. And at first they go straight towards the ground, but at the last second, they are able to, catch flight and they are off. And I love how Mombi still has to shut that window. Just like,
yep.
Oh, damn it. We got to go warn the Nome King.
Gotta wake up the Wheelers.
Yeah. So they escape. This is when Mombi talks to what looks like a ghost. You're not really sure who it is, but it's like this really hazy figure that's off in the distance. It kind of looks like it's behind a mirror. So this is when, the Mombi tells the Wheelers to chase after him. And so they're chasing the slave from below. And that's when they hit the deadly desert and two of them like fall into it and immediately turn to sand. I'm like, holy, it just keeps going. It just keeps going.
It's just
That's
instant.
really cool. Yeah.
They fall apart a little bit.
Yeah. And they zoom in on like the Wheeler's head as it turns to sand and it just breaks in half. So the sleigh falls apart after Wendy falls asleep. Like Wendy falls. I don't know how you can fall asleep when you're when you're flying that high in a makeshift whatever the hell this is, made by a couch, some
And let's not forget who assembled this.
a floppy pumpkin head guy.
Yeah,
who at first was hanging off the back. Like,
yes. And then a fucking metal man that halfway through it didn't know what the fuck he was doing. And then a chicken.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The funniest. No, the fact that they couldn't fly high enough, and so they're like, it's too heavy. And it's like, TikTok, you need to go. Pretty much trying to kick TikTok out of the sleigh.
I know, like, fuck you, metal man.
Like, you're heavy. Get out of here.
His heart is made of metal.
Yes. I have the song in my head now. Thank you.
So
it'll be there forever.
Dorothy wakes up and everything's falling apart. The sleigh falls apart. Everything breaks apart. I love how the couch lands and she lands on the couch. I guess it took like 11 or 12 takes to get. They just couldn't get the landing right.
Oofta.
And this is when they meet the Nome King. Mm-hmm. He's just a rock face on the side of this mountain.
The gnome.
Yep. And
David? Is David in there? Don't fuck around, David. I know what you're up to.
This is when like all the earth shakes. It opens up. She falls in, and she just goes into this weird acid trip of just flying through whatever the hell this is. And she's talking to the Nome King as she's flying through this, and just asking like, "Why did you, destroy the Emerald City? Why did you take it over?" And he's like, "Well, the people from Oz took the emeralds from my mountain, and so I'm just taking them back." And I'm like, okay, probably could have gone about it a different way, but all right.
Digging holes in my mountain.
Are they digging holes in my mountain? Yes. Sorry. Nobody's gonna get that fucking joke, and if you do, please comment and tell me you do.
That's correct.
So they all land in this room, and the Nome King is like, "I'll let you go. I'll let you go back. I'll give, I'll stop doing all this if you can find where the Scarecrow is." Because at one point, you actually see the Scarecrow for it's like when she lands in that room, you see him for like a split second, and then he disappears. Like, where did he go? And he pretty much is like, "Oh yeah, I have an ornament room, and he has been turned into one. So if you can go in there and figure out which one he is, I'll let you go, and I'll give you a couple guesses to do it." So one by one, each of these of our main group here go in and make their guesses. I love how every time they make a guess, it like rumbles the mountain. Mm-hmm. And then once like their guesses are done, it's like a big boom. And slowly, which I did not realize because I guess I'm an idiot, is that every time one of these characters fails, he becomes more human. And I just went, wasn't that just a rock and now he's a dude in a suit? Like, what? I'm very confused. But then I got it later on. Yeah, the fact
it's cool though, because
it was a cool transition.
Like the rock face, and then more of like a human-esque rock, and then like a dude wearing a suit. And I was like, I love his voice. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And of course, TikTok is the one to go in before Dorothy, and then the gnome messenger tells the Nome King that he's just standing in the middle of the room. He like froze up. And so he's like, "Oh, well, you can go in there and turn him on, but then you might as well stay in there and make your guess." And she's like, "All right." So she goes in there, but TikTok did it on purpose. He knew that they would send her in there. And his whole plan was, okay, well, you're here. I'm going to make my last guess. I'm going to guess wrong on purpose. And I want you to pay attention so you know who I am. But the Nome King's smarter than that. And when he goes to make his guess and it's wrong, the whole room goes black. And when the light comes back, she doesn't know.
Mm-mm.
So, of course, she is, she's the only one left. And so she's got to make her guesses. But before that, Princess Mombi's on her way with her coach led by wheelers. She's literally whipping these dudes, and they are the horses to her carriage. I'm like, what? Okay.
BDSM, bro.
Wearing her knife.
Yes.
Coat with spears sticking out of it. Amazing. It's amazing.
So somebody's gonna lose their eye. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's why the Wheelers have wheels and not hands and feet, because like she just like cut off their hands and feet with her knife robe that she wears.
Mayhap.
I forgot to mention though, before Dorothy goes into the ornament room is when you find out that the Nome King has something. He has the ruby slippers, and he's wearing them.
Oh yeah.
The funniest thing is when he just peeks them out of his little cloak. He's like, "You see what I got? Aren't they nice?"
Yeah, he just pulls up his cloak and like wiggles his leg.
Yeah,
like,
he's literally like
there.
modeling the ruby slippers. They look pretty good on me, don't they?
They bring
and
out
you find
your
out,
eyes.
yeah, they he also mentions the fact that they helped him conquer the Emerald City, so he probably just wished for it to be conquered.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she goes in the room, the whole thing with the ornaments, and she just randomly spins around with her eyes closed, and then lands at a table that has an emerald sitting there, and she's like, "Well, this is it. I'll just make this guess," and she guesses right, and it's the Scarecrow. I do like the design of the Scarecrow in this movie. This is the original illustration from the books. This is how the Scarecrow looked. I do like the fact that it has different facial expressions, and it's kind of like it's like Nightmare Before Christmas stop motion, where there's actually multiple replaceable faces that they would take off for every expression, which is pretty cool. But
I
yeah,
actually
so
have an opposite opinion, because I think all the original characters, when they come back, except for the Tin Man, which gets totally fucking stiffed, they all look like shit, in my opinion. I don't like the way the Scarecrow looks, and because he looks like he's in like HR Puffet stuff or Sigmund and the Sea Monsters. I don't like it. And then the Lion just looks like somebody did not know taxidermy very well, and it's this goofy ass fucking lion. But that's just me. None of the rest of the characters are fine.
The lion was on something.
I think it's the fact that they probably couldn't model them after the ones from the original movie.
Oh no, I didn't think they had to, because you could tell, because I'm not like, I've seen the original Wizard of Oz, but I'm not like, a hardcore fan of it. I knew this felt like, even just watching them, like this has to be based like as a sequel to the book, like because there's just a bunch of shit that I don't remember from the original movie, and even the aesthetic. But no, like but I just did not care for his design compared to the newer characters.
Yeah, because the Tin Man, because like all the original characters are modeled after their original illustrations,
which is
the
great.
Tin Man is an actual Tin Man, and the lion in the book was always just a lion. He just looked like a lion.
Yeah, like I didn't mind the Tin Man. I just think it's got stiffed, like because you see him petrified, and then like you don't really see him very much even at the end.
And they don't talk either. The Scarecrow's the only one who talks out of the original.
Yeah.
Horse shit.
So, so pretty much they figure out that everything that is green is one of their friends. So they find everybody but TikTok, and they make it out to the final boss battle of the movie, which is the gnome. Of course, every time Dorothy found a friend, he would resort back to his stone self. And he got really pissed off, locked Mombi in a cage. And then, of course, we get this final boss battle where he becomes this giant, kaiju rock. And they have a fight.
He is a rock, big ass rock.
He tries to eat the Gump, but the Gump gets the head removed from the couch, and he eats the couch. And then he picks up Pumpkinhead. And I love the effects of Pumpkinhead, the little like puppet Pumpkinhead hanging over over him. And the whole time, I forgot to mention, the whole time, Belina is hiding inside Jack's head. And she is scared to the point where she lays an egg into the Nome King's mouth. And I love it where all the gnome messengers are just like, poison, poison, poison. And he just like shocked. He's like, chicken, egg, poison.
Yes.
And then slowly just starts breaking apart, like pretty much melting. It's kind of like a callback to the original, how they defeat the Wicked Witch of the West. And I thought that was a really cool touch.
It reminded me of like the melting. It reminded me more of like the melting head thing from Indiana Jones.
Yes,
That's what it was about. Because it's like we talked about this not being really for kids, and like that scene, I was like, it's really kind of graphic. Even though it's just stone, the imagery is more frightening, I suppose.
Yeah. So yeah, she finds all of her friends. She gets the ruby slippers. She wishes for pretty much everything to go back to normal, and they make it back out right outside of the Emerald City. But they're like, "Oh no, we never got TikTok. Damn." And it's like, "Well, what about that green thing that's hanging from Gump's head?" And she's like, "Oh my god!" And of course, it's TikTok. Yeah, the Emerald City is restored. Everybody is having a good time.
Gets their head back.
Yeah, everybody gets their head back. We have a New Hope style party at the end where everybody's like dancing around, having a good time. I'm waiting for like
Chewie's
Chewbacca
there.
to come back. He still doesn't get his medal.
Yep.
Son of a bitch!
TikTok is buffed and puffed to an inch of his life. He is shiny as shit. Yeah,
He is shiny. This is what you see. Yeah, and then of course you see like the Tin Man is back to life. The lion comes back to life. The lion walks on all fours. Like, okay.
Yeah, he's literally a lion.
Yeah, he's
Dorothy is riding him like a horse.
Maybe I'm a lion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking like lion. Well, was it Narnia? Lions versus wardrobe, whatever. Like whatever.
He kind of looks like Aslan. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, 100%.
Except for he's on something good.
And all of the people of Oz want Dorothy to become the queen of Oz, and she's kind of like, I don't know, I'm just a kid. And then she looks in the mirror and she sees that girl in the window, and it's Ozma. And so she goes over and frees Ozma from the mirror, and she regains her spot on the throne, becomes the queen, and everybody's like, "Come on, Dorothy, just stay." And she's like, "Nah, I want to go back to my sad, depressing life in Kansas in 1899, where I might die when I'm 18 from tuberculosis or something. I don't know. Sorry, guys. Sorry, I gotta go." And I love how she says no, and then Ozma's like, "All right, well, we'll send you back now." And it's like, "Wait, I
didn't get to tell everybody bye. Ha, fuck you, Dorothy.
You said you didn't want to stay." But also that she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna watch over you. I'm gonna check in on you." She's like, "Okay." And I would be like, "Why doesn't she want to stay? This just doesn't make sense. What does she have going for her over there?" Oh Lord! So she's brought back to Kansas. She gets found by what the hell? What's the uncle's name? Uncle Henry.
Uncle Henry.
Yeah.
Uncle Henry.
One leg, hop along, whatever you want to call it.
That leg's working fine because he sprints to her when he finds her, and Aunt Em comes around with a blanket, like, "Oh, don't worry, I got you, honey." Yeah.
Sorry, I was partially distracted during a section of that because it was the final. Angela, we always have the movie playing here, as we've talked about before. But it's the final section with the Nome King when he dies, when he swallows the egg, and just the effects are masterful. Like all the other gnomes, they're like, "Oh shit!" Like, "Oh
yeah, they're like out of there.
They're like
fading
into the wall, and they're like pushing themselves in with their
Yeah.
arms to like do their mouths and shit. And it was like, it's so fucking cool, dude.
It is cool.
How did
But
this
she
not
has
win?
to go back because she's got to.
I don't know. Like
She's got to get the dog.
even when the gnomes are chasing them, because the gnomes are just rocks, right? So like they're chasing them along the walls, and then a pillar comes up, and they'll go behind, like they'll fall into the wall and come out on the other side of the pillar and fall on the wall and come out. It's fucking cool, dude.
I do like the shot though when she is back in Kansas, and it really focuses on her eyes, and her eyes are like emerald green.
Mm-hmm.
And then it pans out, and then she gets found. You find out that the clinic burned down.
Fuck that place.
Everybody survived except the doctor because he tried to go back in to rescue his machine. So bye. And then the nurse is arrested. That doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense that she was arrested.
I don't think what they were doing there was legal, probably.
It's 1899. It probably was.
Probably
not to children, maybe.
There's probably way worse stuff going on in the world at that time when it comes to like mental facilities and
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I wonder if it had something to do with how it may not have been like that.
Maybe
if they
she caused
found
the fire,
out like
maybe
it could have been. It could have been that they said they had some of the previous patients locked up.
Oh yeah,
it could have been that too. I don't know. She did
they
something wrong.
They never explain it. They just show her riding off, and you're kind of supposed to just be like, yeah, she was evil, so that's fine. I'm cool with
Yeah,
cool with her being.
They did say that the hospital got struck by lightning, so that's what caused the fire.
right,
but I would just assume it's because they have people locked up, and people probably died because they couldn't get out of their room.
That could be it too.
Well, they did say, I thought they said that that only one person died. I thought they said everybody survived except for the doctor because he went back in.
Oh yeah, that's right. So I don't know why she was arrested then.
I think it was just the fact that the whole movie she is perceived as an evil person, so like she gets arrested and we're just like, good job. Like I don't care what it was for. Get out of here.
Well, we talk about both these realms reflecting one another. She was arrested in Oz, so in theory, some reason she was arrested in the real world. Some reason.
So. She was probably had an alternate name she was hiding somewhere.
Maybe she was. I don't know. Maybe she just like tortured people. Maybe she's a murderer. We didn't know because she clearly got off. And now that you mentioned Star Wars, now I cannot see fucking ball shined TikTok here and not think it's C-3PO. I'm like, good lord, dude. Damn it. Even I guess you do see the Tin Man for a little bit, but anyway, dude, no love for the fucking Tin Man, dude. Anybody who's willing to cut your own limbs off to have some metal shit? Come on. Anyway, go ahead. I don't know.
And so the movie just ends with Dorothy living her sad life in Kansas, and then Ozma shows up in the mirror, and I think Dorothy was probably just like, "Yeah, get me the fuck out of here." I don't know why I said I didn't want to stay there because this sucks. There's nothing happening here. We're like farmers. Like that doesn't seem like fun at all. Get me out.
I'd rather stay in Oz.
Huzzah for poverty and disease. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be a new century.
Do we figure out where Franklin, Kansas was?
Yeah, it says. Oh yeah, because I looked it up.
Where is it though? In the state?
I don't know, but it said as of 2020 their population was like 617. It's an unincorporated.
I wonder if I've been to Franklin, Kansas. That's why I'm wondering where it's at. Because I used to live I'm from southeast Nebraska. Like I was two counties from the border. And I've been to Kansas plenty of fucking times. I've been to Cuba, Kansas. Anybody know there's a fucking Cuba, Kansas? Yes, it's real.
No, half the time I forget Kansas exists. Like,
well, yeah, I know, right?
Hopefully we don't. I mean, I'm sorry to all of our listeners from Kansas if we have any, but
sorry, nobody remembers
what's
Nebraska
in your state. I mean, there's not much in my state either.
Sunflower seeds.
What's in your state?
Hey, sunflower seeds and much better roads, much better maintained roads than Nebraska. At least
well, when you don't have many people living there, your roads are going to be better maintained.
Very true.
Oh, it's by Joplin? Yeah. Okay, no, I haven't been there.
The craziest thing, though, is that the first two movies of this season that we've covered, the director of the movie wouldn't direct another movie after said movie. So last week's director went to television after directing Silver Bullet, and then this director didn't direct another feature film for the rest of his career. He was mostly in the editing department for a lot of films. He'd worked on some Star Wars stuff and The Godfather.
Oh, okay, so he did trilogy. Some stuff.
So he was involved in a lot of big movies back in the day. Worked a lot with Francis Ford Coppola, as we talked about Godfather. But yeah, it's kind of crazy that's kind of a. I don't know if that's going to be a trend for the next movie. I don't know the director of the next movie we're covering, but yeah, it's kind of a weird little fact there. All right, well, now that we're done talking about the movie, let's talk about our final thoughts on the movie, and let's start off with the two esteemed hosts here that have not seen this movie before until yesterday. What'd you guys think of it after it's all said and done?
No.
Oh, I gotta go first.
We need to know your
I was thinking about fucking.
Got to wind up his thought in his speech.
Yeah, my thought meter. Anyway, didn't know what to expect out of this outside of just like 80s, like shit's scary, like. But we grew up watching it, so it didn't matter. Like of course, like I said, I'd never seen this, but I like this movie a lot. Like I thought this was great. I jokingly said that I was gonna like shit on it, like everybody on Alli's, but I can't. Like I mean, outside of like the main three from the original, like just get fucking. I just did not care for their suits or like their portrayal in this movie. But I know it was trying to portray the newer characters and such. But like I liked all, like I liked the special effects were stupid good. Like you know, it had its whimsical moments, which I felt kind of. I'm not like an Oz diehard, but like felt like went along with it. I love the talking chicken instead of Toto. I don't know what if that means anything, even though I called her name wrong the whole fucking time. I don't. What's her name? I don't remember. Belina. I call her I call her Banira because there's a kaiju, an Ultraman called Banira, and that's what I was like. It's the same thing. It's like a few letters off. It's fucking fine. And that's what I thought every time. I even said it earlier in this podcast. Like I can't bother to remember the name Banira. But anyway, I didn't mind. Like most of the character actors were great. I love the voice effects of the Nome King, the special effects. The movie just kind of flowed. It was very whimsical. It reminded me of like a little bit of Labyrinth. I'm not a Labyrinth person. And then like Dark Crystal and just some of the Muppet shit around that time. And I just, it was fun. It was good. It just sucked anyway, there was probably a pun there, but I was going to say it sucks that there wasn't a tornado in it, so I couldn't make Twister references. But other than that, I thought it was a great time. I don't see why people wouldn't enjoy this. But again, I like the effects stuff. I like the suits and the composite and the stop motion and shit. I thought it was really well done. And yeah, very dark for what y'all talked about compared to what you would expect from the movie. But yeah, more people should watch this, I think. I have no attachment to it, and I don't like. She was good as a kid actor. I didn't mind her. I don't like kid actors in most of these fucking movies, and I thought she did a good job.
I love her as an actress overall. Yeah,
but go ahead. That's it. That's I don't want. You guys can continue to gush, but I really liked it.
I mean, I agree with Dan. Like, there's not much more that I can add to it except for justice for the Tin Man.
You know what the fuck? Dude, I just wanted Tin Man to come in and start axing bitches like Wheelers. Just dude, fucking Billy style overhead throw, just Wheeler right in the dude. I'd pay top dollar for that.
But yeah, I would definitely watch this again. 100%.
Wow. This is a complete opposite from Alli's experience on her own show.
Come on our show more often, Alli. Come on.
They might not agree with you, but I'm more lenient on certain movies. So.
All right, Alli, share your thoughts on your most recent viewing.
I mean, I still love it. I really do. I can see why people think it's scary, especially when you're a kid. But I don't think it's any more scary than any of the other movies that came out in the 80s that you watched when you were a kid. I personally am terrified of the Dark Crystal. I hate the Dark Crystal. I won't watch that again. But I don't think this is any more scary than the Labyrinth or like the Secret of Nim or anything like that. Like,
that's
yeah. And I just think this is just as weird, if anything, not as bad. And like I said, when I was a kid, I thought it was cool. The heads, I still think it's cool. I would love to have a different hairstyle every day.
Oh heck yeah! If I could remove my hair just to fix, or remove my head just to fix my hair, damn.
It's the same thing every time I watch The Fifth Element. She puts that thing over her eyes and it changes her eye makeup, and I'm like, why can't we do this?
Right?
Why can't we do this?
I
mean, I don't want to like take someone's head every day, but like, why can't we do this stuff?
Yeah, not to steal from you real quick. Just a quick thought. I wonder if when Mombi does that, like changes the heads, I wonder if it stops her from aging her original head. I wonder if it affects her aging.
I always kind of, and I mean, I don't know why I think this, but I always kind of equate this character for some reason. I don't know if it's the way she looks when she's dressed in the black outfit, but I always think of like that. I know she was like a real person, but like Elizabeth Bathory, who like she was like she killed children and she bathed in their blood to like keep herself young. And I always kind of like think of her when I watch Return to Oz, because just the look of, especially her as the nurse with that high black collar and like everything like that. So I would think the youth thing, because I would think like she took the heads of like the dancing women because they were beautiful and she wanted to be them, and like she doesn't wear the original head very often, probably because she's older or something like that. So it's a really good point. Yeah. But yeah, I still love it. I think TikTok, I agree. I love the characters in this one more. TikTok and Jack are my favorite, and Fairuza Balk, I think, is one of the greatest child actors. And I mean, even when she grew up and was in The Craft and things like that, still was amazing. So yeah, still love it. I still think it's great. I ride hard for this movie. I really do.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to agree. I mean, I think this is going to be a unanimous Like we all love this movie. This was fun. This is that movie I definitely want to rewatch. Like, you know, a couple months down the road, like not as part of the podcast, just sitting down and watch it. Because as I've always stated, sometimes you miss certain things when you're taking notes, watching movies for the show. But yeah, the effects, I fell in love with the effects. I think that was my favorite thing. Like the Nome King, the Gnome Messengers, just the way everything was just. I mean, it's 1985, so CG wasn't a thing, which is good. So you got all this wonderful practical effects, the puppetry, everything, just the effects of the head, you know, the whole head thing, you know, with Mombi and her changing her heads out. And like it looks so seamless. Like they were able to do the right lighting so that you couldn't really tell, you know, that it was maybe a green screen or whatever it was. It looks so good. I mean, there was certain shots where it's blatant green screen where you can actually see the outline around Dorothy, but it's like, again, 1985. It's just how it was.
It's part of the charm, dude.
Oh, absolutely. This movie is, and I'll say it right now, it might be controversial, but I think I enjoy this more than the original Wizard of Oz. Like, I would rather rewatch this than the original Wizard of Oz.
Hear, hear.
I think the only reason people think this is scarier is honestly because of music. If you put music in this movie, like
it changes the whole tone.
If the Wheelers did like a funky, weird disco song through the streets of Oz, people wouldn't find it as scary. The Munchkins are fucking scary, man. But because they sing and they dance, they're not as scary.
They just need to do an EDM version of Lollipop Guild. Like that. That's all it is.
Yeah, the Wheelers, like, you know, absolutely.
For some reason, I thought there was music in this movie. Like, I thought it was a musical, and then watching, I was like, "Oh, all right."
No songs.
I mean, I was okay with it because I'm kind of like, when it comes to musicals.
Yeah, I'm not a musical person, anyways. So.
No, this movie is this movie is fun. I had a good time with it, for different reasons. But yeah, I think this is a complete opposite thing for Alli. She's out here like, finally, people understand me. You could disappoint everybody else at Quad Pro Quo.
Not an outsider anymore.
Yeah, you can tell them that we all love the movie, so they go, maybe we don't want to go on that show.
We're not doing it just to kiss your ass either, Alli. Like, we just like the show.
I appreciate that. I really do.
So when you get done recording here, you need to run over there and bust through the door and be like, "They like me,"
and then just leave. They like the fucking show. Just leave.
No idea what you're talking about. Keep your highbrow Christopher Nolan Dunkirk bullshit out of my face.
Yes, fuck them.
Oh man. All right. Well, now we are going to go to social media. As you know, before we record, we like to let you all know what we're watching and what we're going to be covering, and then we let you guys comment on it over on social media. We post on Twitter, we post on Instagram, we post on Threads and Facebook. So I'm going to read your responses. What, Dan?
Pornhub. We post
Pornhub. Yes, I post. Yeah, just pictures. They're like, what?
Fuck.
It's our first over the edge.
Our first comment is from Darren from Nostalgia Cast, who shared his episode of Return Oz. He said, "I prefer it to Wizard, nightmare fuel of the highest order." So make sure to go check out Nostalgia Cast's episode on Return Oz, which is what I'll be listening to tomorrow. Tangents of Horror said, "Love it, creepy as fuck," and couldn't agree more. But the fact that people are just like, we get a lot of responses of just like, "I love this movie," and I love to see it. I love to see it. Yeah, that was it over there. So let's go to Instagram.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely become more, I think, a little bit more popular, especially with like Disney Plus, because it is available now on Disney Plus. And like, I used to, like, again, taped off television version. So it used to like just not really be readily available, but now it's on Disney Plus. So you can watch it at any time.
Oh yeah. That's how I watched it.
Same.
Over on Instagram, we got one from Doom Generation Pod, who also has an episode on this movie, so make sure to check that out. They said, yes, we have an episode on it, and I bought Kim, who is one of their research assistants, merch for it for Christmas.
There you go.
Awesome. I would 100%. I mean, you probably could find merch. I mean, with just Jack. I just want a shirt that's just the cover I shared when I was sharing the posts. Like, I love that like classic illustration drawing of all the characters, even the characters who aren't even in the fucking movie, like the lion and the Tin Man. Like, they're there, but they're not in the movie very much. I don't think we got anything on Threads. Let me check that real quick.
I was thinking the whole time while you're looking that up. I was thinking the whole time, like, I got 2 video game references in my mind. I was thinking of the Nome King when he dies of eggs from Resident Evil 4 and 5, because you could kill people with fucking eggs in that. And then you said Elizabeth Bathory, which it was actually the inspiration for a villain in one of the Castlevania games, was Bloodlines on the Genesis, which I think her name was Elizabeth Bartolome. But that was the inspiration, which a lot of the characters from Castlevania are inspired by stuff like that in mythology. But that's what I thought of.
Yeah, there's this that I like it, but it's this terrible video game movie that I know I can't remember what it's called. I can't think of what it's called, but it came out in like, I want to say like 2006 or something like that, and has like one of the girls from One Tree Hill in it. And basically it's like they play this video game, but then
Stay Alive.
Stay Alive. That's what it's called. I wanted to say Dead Alive, but I wasn't that.
That movie's not good.
It's so not good, but I, for some reason, really like it. And the killer in that movie, Frankie Muniz is in it. Yes. Yep. The killer from the video game in that movie is based off Elizabeth Bathory. Yep. So
it's a really interesting concept, but for some reason in the early 2000s they couldn't figure it out right, because like they had Fear.com, which is a movie I've talked about on another show. It's literally where a website, you know, if you log into this website, it'll kill you at a certain time.
It all came from The Ring. Like The Ring did 100%. It so well. And then they tried to like duplicate it with like Fear.com, with that One Missed Call, which is also like Japanese or Korean horror movie that they redid, and no one could ever do it the way that The Ring did it. And so then there was like Stay Alive. It's like, it's a video game that'll kill you or stuff like that. So
crazy.
It's a terrible movie, but for some reason I watch it every time it's on TV.
Oh, it's definitely something I would 100% want to cover on the show, just because of how
great.
Like, I want to just go back and just cover just rip off like early 2000 rip-offs of like very popular movies. Like, we've covered The Ring on the show, so covering Stay Alive would be a perfect little episode. But yeah, that is all of our comments from social media. Thank you to everyone. Oh, Angela's got a couple. I forgot she mentioned that.
I have.
Sorry.
Well, you said you didn't want to read the ones that just says it's my favorite or whatever. But I have one from Jiggy Fly Joe that says, fun fact, this movie scared me as a child. Princess Mombi and her head swapping was terrifying to me for some reason. That and anything that had to do with the deadly desert.
That's very true.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of terrifying
elements. It's those irrational fears. It just like manifests more. Like, now this I have to, worry about.
After watching this movie, though, I am going to put it out into the ether and just say, Disney, we need a 4K release of this movie.
Oh, yeah.
There is no 4K release of this movie right now. I don't even think it's not 4K on Disney Plus. And I think the only way you can buy it is on there's a Blu-ray that came out for the 30th anniversary back in 2015. So it's been a bit. So we need a 4K Disney.
Well, they like to keep things in the vault at Disney.
Yes. They do the vault still, even with Disney Plus?
No, yeah, they do, because there's stuff that's not on like Disney. Like, they'll say it's on Disney Plus, and then you go and look for it, and it'll be like, not till next year. Like, they still do like release things slowly sometimes. So yeah.
Yeah, I used to buy all the Diamond Collection Blu-rays of Disney movies, because it'd be like, buy it for, it's only out for like 3 weeks, and then it's back in the vaults, and you're like, you won't see it for another 12 years. You're like, oh my
God.
Yeah.
I need Hercules. Which we do.
Yeah, we absolutely do. Okay, so that is it for Return of Oz. So let's talk about what we're going to be doing next week. We are going to be taking a break from our coverage of 1985 films, because next week is Valentine's Day, which means we are going to be covering a Valentine's Day movie. And what movie should that be but one of probably the most famous Valentine's Day horror movies, and that is 1981's My Bloody Valentine. Now, Dan and Angela, have you seen the original My Bloody Valentine? Me either. No. So it's going to be all of our first time watch. I've seen the remake from 2009. Oof. I actually enjoyed the remake. But I have never seen the original from beginning to end. I've seen bits and pieces, and I feel like
I'm excited.
So it's going to be a good time. So next week we're going to be covering My Bloody Valentine. This will be fun. All right, Allie.
Yes.
Thank you for being on the show. It was an absolute honor having you back.
Thank you for having me. I was hoping you were actually going to say you were covering the movie Valentine's Day, starring David Boreanaz, which I saw in the theater.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too.
Is that one of the compilation movies that they did? Was like New Year's Day and stuff like that.
Okay, so that's Valentine's Day. That there is one which has Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift, yeah, that's.
No, there's another one. It might just be called Valentine, but it has David Boreanaz, Denise Richards, I believe, is in it.
Oh,
it came out, and I want to say like 1999.
Yes,
and it's like a horror. Yeah.
Yep.
It's based on a book.
And, yeah, and it's I saw it in theaters because that was deep in my David Boreanaz crush. Yeah,
She's
it was great.
I'm over that now.
Still kind of does it for me.
Yeah.
But I approve of My Bloody Valentine. It's a great movie.
For some reason, I completely forgot about Valentine. It was the same guy who directed Urban Legend.
Another amazing movie.
I watched that for the first time last year.
Saw that twice in theaters.
Wow.
Deep into my Joshua Jackson crush at that point.
Josh Jackson.
Oh yeah, he still does it for me as well. So it's all good.
So yeah, next week's gonna be a lot of fun. Finally, kind of this year we're gonna be a little bit better at covering movies for holidays, because we always kind of forget. The only one we did, I think, last year was like Leprechaun for St. Patrick's Day, and then Halloween movies and Christmas movies. But yeah, we're gonna try to be better about the holiday movies. So yeah, we're very excited about that. Allie, where can
movie too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're getting those. Yeah, we did that too. Yeah. Allie, where can everybody find you and your wonderful show?
Sure. So we are at Quad Pro Quo Pod. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Letterboxd. So we're actually review all the movies on Letterboxd now. Yeah, you can just find us wherever you podcast. We try to release new episodes every Thursday, and February again is our Swiftie X's month. So each episode will star a famous Taylor Swift ex-boyfriend.
Boy.
So when is this episode coming out?
This will be out sometime in February, the week before Valentine's Day, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so that would probably be the recent episode we'd have that week would be Matt's pick, which is Dunkirk, because that stars Harry Styles.
Oh, so we got so that's what they're doing over there, doing some research.
Oh yeah, I picked Crimson Peak, which stars Tom Hiddleston.
Oh,
and then we also will have, I believe, The Favorite, and then we're also going to do Nightcrawler because it has Jake Gyllenhaal in it.
Which is that the one with Rachel Weisz?
Yes.
Who's the ex in that one?
I forget his name. It's the one she just recently broke up with before she started dating the Kelsey brother. Like they were together for like 5 years. Joe Alwyn, that's his name.
Okay.
So he's in that, and they were together for like 5 years. So the most boring one, because all of our other choices are great. So yeah.
Oh, well, all of Quad Pro Quo's links will be down in the description. So make sure to follow the show. It is one of my weekly musts. So join me. You can find us at Dissect That Film on all the social medias. We're on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. I'm not calling it the other name. It's Twitter still. Facebook. Yeah, we're on. I probably already said Facebook. We're on all those social medias. You can go to our link tree. We have a link tree where we have all the links to everything, all of the podcast apps, our YouTube channel where we have the video form of every podcast episode where you can see our faces, where you can see all the quirkiness that's going on. And so make sure to go over there and like, comment, and subscribe to the video. Even if you don't watch the episode there, just go over there and do that. Leave us a comment. Make sure to leave us 5 stars in any of your favorite podcast apps. Spotify, give us 5 stars. I'm also going to be trying to do questions for every episode because Spotify allows you to do that. So the question for this is, what is your favorite part of Return to Oz? So that'll be the question for this episode. I didn't mention what it was going to be for last week, but that'll be for this week's. So yeah, leave us 5 stars there. Apple Podcasts, Good Pods. Good Pods is cool because you can leave us 5 stars on episodes and the show itself, and you can leave us comments. It's a pretty cool little app over there. So make sure to follow us over there and all that stuff. We also have a Patreon. I always, for some reason, forget that we have to mention the Patreon. Patreon.com/dissectthatfilm, where for $1, you can get early access to episodes. You can get blooper reels, like things that happened in the episode that don't make it into the core episode. We also have a Patreon exclusive show at our $5 tier called The Monster Zone, which is hosted by Dan and Angela, where we talk about monster movies from all the times. We've been really focused on monster movies from the 50s recently, but yeah, we're covering a bunch of monster movies. Yeah. And we got a bunch of other stuff coming. We got commentary tracks. We have watch alongs. We have exclusive streams. Maybe that'll come down the pipeline, but yeah, that's where we're at. So if you want to support the show financially, just go to patreon.com/dissectthatfilm, and we'd love to have you. So thank you very much. I think that's about it. That's my least favorite part of the show, is doing all this just rigmarole bullshit. But thank you, everybody, for your support. We love you all. Thank you for listening. Make sure to share the show wherever you can. Yeah. And until next time, I'm Brett Parker. That is Dan and Angela of DNA Gaming. And that is Alli from the Quad Pro Quo Podcast. And this has been another episode of Dissect That Film. We'll see you all again next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.